sorry, my bad. I forgot to tie my shoes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I gotta tie my shoes. My bad.
Are you okay?
I can't get my new.
I'm sorry.
Wait a minute, that was a real thing. That was not fake.
My shoes weren't tied. My bad.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm
You
fine.
guys all okay?
Wait, y'all did not apply that out.
The perfect school.
All right, perfect school.
Perfect school. Perfect school. Perfect.
Yeah, they wanted me to.
Where is it?
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Is there a picture?
I'm glad I saw all of them.
All right, y'all ready?
Realized.
All right, so traditionally known as standardized testing, but probably more properly described as standardized testing. The current system of standardized tests is an embarrassment, and it plays too big a role in deciding if a student will receive higher education, and explicitly it favors students who are rich. So first of all, rich kids have less pressure because, even if you do bad, your parents can just pay your way in, so it's a lot less stress. Second of all, if you're rich, you can afford to take it as many times as you want. So that's also less pressure every time you take it, and you can take it as much as you want until you get the score that you want, which clearly helps you if you're rich. And third of all, if you're rich, you can buy all those practice books and take all those ACT courses. So basically, the moral of the story, the ACT is the reason why we have, how do you say that word?
Generational.
That is essential.
Yeah, the reason why the wealth inequality is so bad in America, it's why, the top 6% of the 1% have all the wealth. No one else got anything. ACT.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Whoopsie says, I can't see it.
Standardized testing.
Some got a student.
Standardized test has no correlation to achievement. So a lot of times they've done a lot of these studies and stuff, and people take standardized tests, but it has no correlation to how you'll succeed in life. Now, the whole big claim to fame for the ACT is that, colleges can see how prepared you'll be. Well, that's true, you might get A's in college, but we know a whole bunch of college people who are at home right now. They're failing life. And it has nothing to do with their 36 on the ACT. I'm sure, Emma, there were people in Club 30 15 years ago that are probably at home in their mom's basement right
True.
now. No offense to anybody who lives in their mom's basement.
Yeah.
Another very important fact is 44% of school districts
Friday.
are teaching to the test. So that means a lot of times people are neglecting science classes, history classes, arts classes, all classes that people need. They're neglecting those because all the ACT cares about is math or English. I would ask you, Marco, you did so well on this test,
Yeah, I did do very well.
but tell me about the complexities of that.
So, in the English portion of the ACT test, I got a 35, which is pretty good. But the problem is, I'm terrible at English. I'm terrible at grammar. I can't write. In Miss Fairby class last year, I'll get C's on all the essays because my grammar was so bad.
Correct.
I didn't know where to put commas. I didn't know where to put periods. I didn't know what to capitalize. But for some reason on the ACT, I'm able to get a 35.
Yeah.
Now that just tells you any score is pretty much meaningless. So my 35 can just be, it probably should be thrown in the trash, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take advantage of it. But I really should not do that. I should not be able to do that. That is unfair and it's unjust and it needs to change.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, honestly, Marco, I agree. Can you elaborate a little bit more on how you got a 35 on the ACT?
I cheated.
Oh.
I did not cheat. I just I did a lot of practice questions and I figured out the exact grammar rules that they were going to ask. But I really didn't know. If you ask me them now, I already forgot.
Exactly.
So that 35 is meaningless.
Who knows what a participle phrase is?
You can trade with me.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important that we need to emphasize. Miles, could you click on it one time? 60-40.
60-40.
This is about colleges who care about the ACT. Now, once again, in Hillcrest too, we put so much emphasis on this ACT. Club 30, the ACT, all of this stuff. And colleges don't even care. 60% care, 40 don't, okay? So, Sarah?
There's that woman in the right. She's really scaring me.
She,
Can we cover her up? Wait, who is she? Big. It's a small.
She's like,
Is that
it's
Kristen?
like, no, it's like, you know, like, everywhere you go throughout high school, you know, the ACT is always kind of watching over you.
Yeah.
And every class you take,
Exactly.
the ACT is always in the background. It's,
Wait, guys. Okay, so to add to this graphic, there's 60% of colleges who do care about the ACT do not solely base your score off the ACT, which means it's diluted so much. Now, I'm not good at math, but that's 60% of this 100%. But when you're talking about admissions for college, they only factor that in about 60% again. So that's 60% plus 60% of what, 200%? That's not a lot. Actually, that's the same. Never mind. That's not the point, okay? The fact that they don't put that much pressure on the ACT just shows how stupid standardized testing is. What's the point? Standardized testing. What's the point? If you can just take a million tests and you figure out an algorithm, what is the point? It's not teaching intelligence. It's teaching to the test. So I think that's what we can learn by the 60-40. Next slide, please.
all right, so this is something about how the different races do different on the ACT.
Correct.
So there's a gap,
Yes.
and gaps are not good.
No.
We need to close them.
I think it's a good time to kind of elaborate, Paulina and Marco, about the wealth gap on the ACT. So we mentioned a lot of it. We cheat a lot in the ACT. We take a whole bunch of tests. We
Yes.
buy a whole bunch of books.
Yeah.
Rich
Mark,
people.
C.
Yeah, rich people can go to those little camps where you can boost your score 5 points. So, and we know that there's a wealth inequality in America. This leads to the top people performing like this, and there are so many that are down here.
That's not what the graph means.
And that's not good.
That's not.
All right, next slide, please.
Sarah, yeah.
Stop! Y'all are so rude.
Instead of just having the ACT, we need a dual system. One that not only has a standardized test, but one that measures student progress throughout the years. I can't read.
Water.
Okay. Instead of having one test that leaves disadvantaged kids to be left behind in the world, we would replace it with a biannual test so that it would be more accurate. It actually measures your change over time. Yeah. Yeah. And you know Global Scholars?
For middle school?
Yes.
Miss Nash's song.
Yes.
Oh.
You would keep taking it, and it would give you more questions based on how well you're doing. And so we would get a test like that, and it would adapt to how well you're doing, and it would actually hone in on what you're good at, and it will actually measure your performance, but not like the standardized test, like the ACT.
We call it the master plan. Is that it for this slide?
I think so, yes.
We can go to the next slide.
All right, so this is.
All right, steps to the master plan. The federal government.
We'll standardize the test for all states.
Yeah. So this might seem counterintuitive, but the first thing that the federal government has to do is to make sure that everybody takes this test. They have to standardize it. So we'll provide incentives from the federal government to get people to take this test. So number 2, Paulina?
Number 2, the government will incentivize states to use it by using categorical grants to states that actually establish the test. And Shaq actually supports it.
Yeah.
And number 1, the state government will make the master plan mandatory for each school.
That's what the general says.
Yeah. The general also said, wait, no.
He says we have to give schools monetary incentives to encourage them to change the curriculum and teach skills gone back in time.
Click the ad.
That's what Shaq said.
And then 2, he got a 36 on the ACT. I don't know if you knew.
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg got a 36. But even he says that students should get a well-rounded education for the sake of knowledge and not just for the test.
Thanks, Snoop.
Yeah. And we should keep better record of student progress instead of just relying on the ACT.
We can go to the next slide.
So, here's some,
Is your name up there?
Yes.
a few of the problems that could come in our way as we try to accomplish this master plan.
Yeah.
So the states may not like it. People may be afraid of trying something new, inertia,
Yeah.
and a lot of money implications that we have to work out.
Yeah, so Coach P believes that a lot of students are not gonna agree with this. And we get it, we do the ACT so much, but Coach P understands that if we provide money to them, then they will be able to do this new system, which will benefit us in the long run. Now, this is kind of a before and after, but this is Dora, right? Very large, prominent educational figure. And she taught us almost everything I know. But do you see her stomach bug? This is because the creators of Dora were taking the SAT and the ACT. And so they did not understand the importance of, covering your midsection. Now, compared to this guy right here who I found off the internet, his shirt goes all the way down. Their stomach sizes are about the same. But, I mean, that's what happens.
Yeah, what are you trying to get at here, Mom?
No, I'm sorry. Are you saying I called Dora fat?
Yes.
Okay, we have drawers in here. Paulina, when you draw a curve on somebody's stomach, can you do a visual representation for us? What is that? What does that typically mean?
Pregnant.
Yeah, pregnant.
Dora was
Fat.
pregnant. Are we calling her a whore? I do not appreciate that.
So also this AP Gov, right? We just had an election. So Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They understand the financial implications, right? The ACT is a private program, so the government actually contracts ACT to bring it into schools. If we have this new government-run program that we do biannually, that's a tracking system, the government now has control of how we do our education, which means that they will not have to be paying the ACT every year to do study stuff and all that other stuff that encompasses the ACT. And I don't know my sheet.
I have a question. Lemonade Mouth.
Yes.
What does the guy from Lazy Town think?
Paulina?
He's saying that we are number one.
That's correct.
Okay.
This,
Master plan.
Who's we?
he spreads propaganda for the ACT.
That's correct.
He employed Miss Morrow herself.
Next.
Next slide, please.
What about the
Oh,
left?
yeah, no.
What about the left corner?
Of course. Oh, wait. This person?
Yes.
No net.
I
He
don't know,
looks
but
like half a frog.
that's me. No, it really is.
Oh.
Anyway.
When he says we are number one, he's
Yes.
talking about the people who make 36s on the ACT.
Correct.
And when you watch Lazy Town as a kid, it already puts you in the machine.
Oh my goodness, I never even thought of that.
Says brain
Is he
wash.
not like, I don't know, I've never watched the show, but is he the villain?
He's the
Yeah.
villain.
Yeah.
So he's the villain saying that he's number one because he made a 36 on the ACT, and everybody who's not a villain is lazy because they're in Lazy Town. Y'all hear what I'm saying? We live in this culture where we're being brainwashed every day by the machines.
When it's not your fault. If
Yeah.
you don't make it
Y'all
up.
have 2 minutes.
Alright,
Next slide. All right, so conclusion. The time for standardized testing is over. Our master plan must take reign over the academic landscape and reshape the way we determine students' comprehensive skill set. The old order is deteriorating at the hands of its own failures while a new structure rises out of its ashes. The times are changing. Either you get with it or you get out.
Next slide.
Get with
Next
it.
slide.
Oh my God.